got several things I want to discuss with the board. The first question I want to ask is discussing the repairing and correcting the minutes that I brought to the board's attention in January. I provided the board with a copy of the videotape. Has anyone looked at it? Anybody look at it?
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Winnie, did you confirm that what I was saying to be correct?
Yes.
So,
But Pat's the one who
I understand. I understand. So would I be correct in stating that the vote that was recorded for Mr. Coates voting on an issue with John Sykes was improperly recorded?
I suppose that's something only Pat, I can't make a statement
Pat
about
hasn't-
that. Pat has to see it.
Pat hasn't looked at it yet, but
Exactly.
you looked at the video, you're the
I did.
solicitor, and did the videotape show Mr. Coates voting in the affirmative on an issue involving Mr. Sykes?
I think, again, I think Pat is the person who has to look at that video and make that determination, because she's the secretary.
Okay.
I heard what I heard and I saw what I saw, but I
Okay.
think it's,
All right,
she's
well,
the
what I'm
proper
stating
person.
publicly is that the minutes are incorrect, do not reflect what took place. Mr. Coates was recorded as voting no on an issue involving Mr. Sykes and his property in litigation. And the audio and the tape clearly shows that he voted yes, that's all I'm stating. And I'm asking that the minutes be corrected. The next thing I want to bring up is I recently found out that the township is being sued both civilly and criminally by Joe Raffa, ex-supervisor. And it's my understanding my tax dollars are being used to represent this lawsuit and these criminal, maybe not the criminal allegations, but can somebody tell me what the status is of this litigation?
I can't. I believe every member of the board is under advice by attorney not to speak,
Not comment.
not to comment.
Is it
Yes,
civil?
I'm not their attorney in this, but.
Okay, is the civil litigation ongoing?
I think they have been advised to simply not comment at all.
Okay, no comment. Criminal litigation, no comment?
No.
Nobody's gonna
That's
comment?
right. That's right, I believe.
Okay. I was informed that the criminal complaint was discharged, but that's just what I was informed. As a taxpayer, on the hook for paying the bill for this litigation, whether it's through tax dollars or through the insurance policy, I want to bring this to the board's attention and make sure, since you can't comment and nobody wants to talk about it, that you have this knowledge. Because if there's going to be litigation, there's going to be depositions, I want to make sure everybody in this township knows what this is about. And I'm going to read something out of this complaint that the complaint's about. At the public meeting on Tuesday, September 13, 2016, the defendant, Art Rick, chairman of the East Nottingham Board of Supervisors, made an announcement there had been a private fact-finding meeting held on both September 6, 2016 and again on September 13, 2016. This was the first time the plaintiff, meaning Joe Raffa, became aware of the fact that the Board of Supervisors were holding private meetings in violation of the Sunshine Act. I have a videotape of this meeting. At no time in that meeting were the words private fact-finding used. This statement says that Art said it was a private fact-finding. Art, in the beginning of the meeting, notified the public there was a fact-finding meeting and there was no deliberations. So the word private fact-finding was never said. Second issue, as a taxpayer, I got a real problem with this. This was the first time that the plaintiff became aware of the fact that the Board of Supervisors were holding private meetings in violation of the Sunshine Act. This whole suit is about fact-finding meetings. I have on record and documented that Joe Raffa participated in 8 fact-finding meetings, and he voted on 7 of them, acknowledging that he was at them meetings. Now, I don't know if you're doing anything about this, because nobody wants to comment, nobody wants to say anything, but I want to read something else. I, Joe Raffa, hereby verify that the facts set forth in this attached complaint requesting a private criminal complaint, this is on the criminal complaint, same as a civil complaint, are true and correct to the best of my knowledge, information, and belief. I understand the false statement made herein are subject to penalties of 18 PA CSA Section 4904 relating to unsworn falsification to authority. That is a criminal offense. Personally, I believe Mr. Raffa has committed 2 criminal offenses, one on a civil complaint, one on a criminal complaint. And beginning of next week, the criminal complaint will be filed with the district attorney. The district attorney already has this in his possession. Today, I filed a private criminal complaint against Joe Raffa for failure to file state financial ethic forms. And with that, I believe you shouldn't even be sitting at the board, sitting up there on the board. So, I know you can't comment, but that's on that issue. Beginning of the meeting, I asked the solicitor about illegal bills generated. In January 2015, the Board of Supervisors advertised for all the work sessions and all the regular meetings. The meeting was scheduled on December 8th, a regular meeting, work session and regular meeting. The work session took place. At that meeting, Township Secretary read a statement into the record, not into the record, she read a statement. The meeting's not recorded, there's no mention of it on the website, so there's no knowledge to anybody looking outside the box that wasn't there, knows that there was even a meeting. And I think the board should take a look at the fact that you advertised the meeting, okay? It took place, the work session took place, but there's no mention in the record. At least something should be there that the meeting took place, the work session took place, and the regular meeting was canceled because there was no quorum, because that's when Scott Blum resigned. I'm making this an issue because at the November regular meeting, the board voted and authorized a legal ad to be put in the paper advertising the closeout meeting on December 30th. We got that ad, but I found another ad that was placed for December 30th. And this legal ad was placed by Joe Raffa, Township. And that legal ad was also involved in the vacancy process. So that raised a question to me, wait a minute, how was this authorized? Who authorized it? The board didn't have a regular meeting in December. It wasn't done in November. How can one supervisor put a legal ad in the paper? The other issue came up to me was, at every meeting I've been at where a legal ad was put in the paper for a special meeting, something that happened fast that wasn't advertised at the beginning of the year, the solicitor usually reads that out loud. I was at this meeting and I never heard this read. So I was somewhat concerned about the ad, so I started doing some homework. I found out that Mr. Raffa put this in the paper himself. And then you paid the bill. Now I've been doing some homework, and that's illegal. You used my tax dollars to pay for an illegal bill. So what I'm saying to the board is, I want my money back. I don't care what you have to do, but get my money back. This has also been given to the district attorney because there's a problem with this. Vague on Sunshine Act violation. I don't know about the second-class township code, but I think it sticks because you didn't have the authority to use my money under the second-class township code to pay this bill. That's just my opinion. Third issue.
Can I bring just a one point,
Yeah.
Mr. Orner? You brought up the work session not being noted. They weren't noted in meetings. We just made a motion last month.
No, I understand that, Shelley.
So that's-
I understand the
I know, I
dash.
just wanna bring that up.
I understand. The point that I want to make is, there's nothing on record that anybody in the public can go back and look at to see what happened during that vacancy that night.
Because it wasn't at an official meeting.
I realize that. The point I'm trying to make is, the work session was a legally advertised meeting, and there was a quorum there. I'm just giving you an opinion. You had a quorum sitting there. It took place. Things happened. Things went down. There should be something that at least says, on December 8th, there was a work session. That's all I'm saying. Whether you do it or not, that's your call.
Thank you.
At that December 8th meeting, secretary, which is also the vacancy board, read a statement claiming that Joe Raffa and John Sykes attempted to coerce her into a vote to support Gary Pitts. Of course, you can't get that statement. There's nothing on record that that took place. But the newspaper was here. In fact, the gentleman sitting right here who wrote the article. They attempted to exert undue influence over how she would vote if the vacancy board was needed. They wanted her to support Gary Pitts. These were attempts of coercion that went too far. After the meeting, Brady was asked if she was ever promised anything by Raffa or Sykes in exchange for doing what they wanted. She replied, yes, but not money. So tonight, I'd like to ask Ms. Brady, what did they offer you? You made a statement at a meeting, you told the newspapers that they offered you something. I just want to know what they offered you.
No comment?
What's that?
No comment.
No comment.
I can answer that.
Pat, I'm not talking to you.
No, I can answer that. I'd like to know, Rick.
Wait,
You told me that you...
No, Mr. Raffa, you're not on the agenda, Mr. Orner.
I'm sorry.
Winnie. Are you familiar with the crimes code in Pennsylvania?
Somewhat.
bit?
I'm not a criminal lawyer, but
Do you know what official misconduct is?
generally speaking, yes.
I think if you do your research, there's a section in there that addresses attempted bribery and bribery of public officials. There's also a section in there that addresses that it's a crime for an individual not to report attempted bribery in itself. So if you're not going to make any comment as to what was offered you, you already stated that they offered you something. What I'm saying is a supervisor attempted to bribe the vacancy board. And I believe that the township has an obligation to do something about it under the crimes code. One more thing, since nobody wants to make any comments. Will Pat be able to make a comment on the January 17th, 12th minutes and the falsification of them?
January
2012, the ones I brought to your attention back in October of 2015 and again in January. I'd like to show her these minutes and ask them a couple questions.
17th. You can ask, I think certainly you can ask her questions.
I can tell you right now, I'm not gonna respond to.
You're not going to respond to this?
Absolutely
Okay.
not.
Then I'll walk through it. So it's on record. Since we're in a public meeting. My claim with this is that Jane Ladley, John Coldiron, and other possible individuals involved with falsifying records, township records. And here's how it went down. In November 2011, immediately after the election when Jane Ladley and her group were elected, John Coldiron came to a township meeting in November. At the end of the meeting, during the public comment section, he told the secretary to put an ad in the paper for a new township engineer and solicitor. I believe that was illegal. It's a Sunshine Act violation. It was never voted on. Again, my money was used to pay for an ad that was not legal. The ad was put in the paper. January reorganization meeting, they appointed Mark Daimler as a township engineer and provisionally the BCO. When they appointed him as BCO, they said it was pending engineer interviews. Well, the advertisement for the engineer never stated anything about them wanting one person for two positions, engineer and BCO. Engineer interviews went down. I spoke with everybody that was interviewed in the engineer process. Not one of them was told the board was looking for somebody to fill two positions. And January 17th, which is these minutes, on the agenda was to appoint the township engineer. Then it goes to appoint the building inspector. In between them appointments, there was multiple votes that weren't on the agenda. The one vote was Ladley and Cold Iron voted in motions to appoint Daimler as a permanent BCO. It was not on the agenda. When the draft minutes came out that Pat prepared, February, it was not in the minutes that the vote took place. I raised an issue with Pat and the board of a statement that was in the draft minutes that I made. It was incorrect and I wanted it fixed. Pat listened to the tape, called me, said I was right, I didn't make that statement, is she gonna fix it? On March, these minutes were approved on March 13th. On the day of March 13th, John Coldiron and Jane Ladley communicated with the township solicitor for hours. The township was billed for hours of legal time discussing the BCO issue, which said to me, they all knew what they did. When the minutes came out for approval that night, this is what it says. This is an addition. Building inspector / BCO. Chairman Coldiron added / BCO. Chairman Coldiron stated at the reorganizational meeting, the board appointed Slanko Engineer as BCO pending interviews for engineer. You understand what I'm saying? Motion made by Chairman Coldiron, second by Vice Ladley, to appoint Slanko Engineering as the permanent position for engineer. He was previously appointed in the same minutes. What actually took place here was he was appointed as a BCO. This whole paragraph never happened. It was never said. Not one word of it. I listened to the audio tape on March 14th of this meeting, and what exactly was said was Ladley and Coldiron made a motion and second to appoint Daimler as BCO. This is a complete fabrication. This is falsifying public records. Now, I sat on this for a while, and I took it to the district attorney, and the district attorney reviewed everything I had, and they said, yeah, you're right, you got it. But I blew the statute of limitations. I blew the statute of limitations on the Sunshine Act issues and that part of it. However, what's still up in the air is the official misconduct and the crimes code, which is an 8-year statute of limitations according to my reading of it. So I brought this to the attention of the board back in 2015 to Scott Blum, and he resigned soon after for other reasons. I brought it to the attention of the board in January, and it still hasn't been addressed. There's an audio tape. I asked for a copy of the audio tape. Illegible. It was given to me. I listened to that audio tape in Pat's office, right in front of her, and you could hear it perfectly. Back in 2012. Now you can't hear it. Funny thing happened. Jane Ladley took that audio tape out of the township building when this was going on, after this went down. So I'm requesting the board to dig into this. You have an audio tape in there that if it's put in the right machine and given to the right people, I've requested a transcription of it, and I haven't been provided it. It's under my understanding that under the right to know, that I'm entitled to a transcript of it, if it's legible.
If it's audible and
Yeah.
comprehensible, yeah.
But nothing's been done yet, and I'm requesting for the board to do something. This is serious. This is rigging paid political positions. Right now, he's made over $150,000 off the township, and he was illegally appointed. The whole thing was a scam. And the minutes were falsified to cover it up. That's my allegations. So I think it's time that somebody steps up and deals with this. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you. Okay. Number 6. Engineer interviews.
Motion, second.
Yeah.
We do
don't have to be public.
All right, so I'll make a motion to, set up engineer interviews over the next month.
I just request that we try to group them all together in the same half of the day and not
Yeah, I agree.
have them 5 different times.
Agreed.
When did you want to do this?
I didn't have a date, we need to do it right now. We'll find a date that works for everyone. Maybe I'll do it this week.
I'll second that motion.
It will be a fact-finding session because you're going to be just getting information from them. You're not going to make any decision.
We have 5 acts, right?
Do 5, yep.
5 acts.
All right, motion's been made to set a phone session and for engineer interviews. Probably made second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion is carried. Okay. Now, number 7, approval of the septic letter.
At the last
BJ.
meeting, yeah, at the last meeting, I had, asked, said that I'm all ready to start sending out letters. You guys said you wanted a sample of the letter. I heard back a little bit from Art, not from anyone else. I have copies with everybody. What?
I didn't see the email, sorry.
Well, that's
You
why I
got
made
copies.
copies for
Maybe
everyone.
you should go get it too.
I did not.
You didn't?
Yeah, I will.
I saw it, I looked at it. My comments normally.
You want me to, I can start off.
I just let Joe read it, would be my suggestion,
Okay.
No, Winnie, read it.
or when he gets hurt. We haven't had an LRPC meeting since, we had one last night, I couldn't go because Lucy fell, so, we're still gonna, it's on the agenda to talk about, just discuss what they all do, not with the letter, but with, responses from others. Remember we talked about last month about trying to get one form or one, them do
Right,
one
right,
way across
right.
all the towns, so that hasn't happened yet, I apologize.
Okay.
Except the ordinance section board, we'll see any question. Except the ordinance section board.
No, my question was, do you want me to put down zoning officer or something in reference to,
I thought
The ordinance, is the ordinance that you did. Yeah, I thought the ordinance did give you a name. It gave
I
you-
think
Yeah, it would be-
I think it's sewage.
Just as long as that matches that.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, I think the person's name that's sent that should be on here.
well, yeah,
From where
that's.
he came from, not you.
No, that's first stuff.
Yeah. From whoever sent this edict down, the person should know when I read this, I say, oh, okay, I have a name right on here. This is the person that's requiring it, and I can contact them if I
Oh,
want.
like DEP.
Yes,
requires-
the person who sent this edict
Oh.
down, that's what I meant, should be there. So they have the
Or ask for the
opportunity to say,
county's
well, wait a minute,
requirement.
if I wanna take this to my solicitor, say, hey, can I get this checked?
Well, that would be the county.
That way they would know who to go to.
Chester.
Yeah, but the county is.
DEP, so we should change
Yeah.
that
So
then.
it's a
It'd be-
DEP.
Yeah,
Okay.
whoever they can, so they can contact someone.
Yeah. When did they change the name anyway, the sewer?
Yeah.
I think that was, I think.
We checked the wording on the ordinance.
I'll
It
check
was
the wording.
originally the SES, sewage.
Not for county requirements, see, that should be
Okay,
that.
whatever the ordinance
Whatever the
says.
ordinance
Yeah.
says should reflect
Whatever
that.
the,
Do you want me to have a number? Is that what you're saying?
something, yeah, that they can contact, say, yes, okay.
Well, it says at the bottom, if you have questions, please feel free to contact me, PJ,
Yes.
and she can direct them to whoever would be appropriate to call, rather than just throwing a random.
Yeah, but if they
number
see it
on
right
there,
away, they can
might not
contact
get
without
it.
even bothering you, that's what I mean. You know, you're overwhelmed now with that stuff. Just get,
Okay.
put it on there.
I just don't
But-
want to direct residents to a number at DEP, because they're not gonna get a voice and an answer.
Well, I know, but then you're over, she has more to do, no, she's so busy now, you know? You put it on there, let them contact, you know, that way they can direct them somewhere.
I could call DEP and ask them if they have somebody who can answer the kinds
Yeah.
of questions.
That, yeah, that's it,
Okay,
perfect, yeah,
I'll do that.
right. I agree.
Is everybody ready yet? I would make one comment.
as per the county's requirement, I would change that to PA-DEP.
That's what I'm gonna do,
Yeah.
PA dash DEP permit, and,
Letter number.
It's a huge, yeah. When I went to stormwater thing, it was such a huge, I'm going through this person, that person. Somebody knew.
Anything else, Jen?
You all right? Other than all that, we're okay with your letter? All go?
I'll make those changes and I'll send it to Winnie just to make sure that everything's legal, because we're gonna still wanna see it again, and then I'll start sending them out. Does anybody, okay, am I free to send them out as in the quantities and time, and timing that I so?
You're the enforcement officer, you figure out what you can handle and send it out.
Okay.
It's my opinion, I don't know.
Sorry, what?
We have public.
I'm going by UPI numbers.
Yes.
I'm a rate
They're in- They're in order, so,
They can unload on somebody else rather than you. That's what
well, that would be
they
nice.
wanna call, see.
Joe directed you to start inviting them, and you will be sending any letters and we will be.
No, it won't be. That's right.
You can make a motion.
Okay, make a motion that we approve the letter with the notification to, PJ to go start sending them out.
Okay.
Once when he approves the final letter.
Great. I'll second that motion. Motion's been properly made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion's carried. There you go. Yeah, I didn't mess you up, yeah.
Thank you.
I can speak to number 8. Susie couldn't be here tonight, but she just wanted to let everyone know that the auditors have been here, they're done, and she wanted to know if we as a board wanted to meet with them before a meeting, again, like we did last year, where they just kind of go over the report quickly and give any recommendations. they
I've
have.
already met.
Yeah, he was not.
Okay, but as a group, she was the whole,
Oh, as a
okay,
group,
so
yeah.
I will let her know to
That'd be a good idea.
send an email out to schedule that. Perfect, thank you.
All right. Number 9, yeah, we got to have that.
Tell her.
Now, number 9 is the auxiliary sewer